I want to make it clear when I say this stuff. Nintendo is making a lot of mistakes. They're making a million mistakes. They're actually fumbling so hard. I can't believe they didn't name the console the Super Nintendo Switch. But that's what, like, forget even that. In terms of handling their company and the way that they interact with their audience, their customers, Nintendo is disgraceful. That's putting it lightly. I'm not even gonna try to get into all the details. A million people have already said all little things that Nintendo is doing wrong. But the thing is, they've always been like a min-max type of company. Not always, but since before like 2010 or so, half the things they've done have been really smart and half the things have been really stupid. And you don't need to, I mean, you can sustain yourself with just that. But ever since around 2010, 2013-ish, it feels like they've been slowly ramping up the amount of stupid decisions they make. But that they still do make very clever, very creative decisions. The games they make are amazing still. The music they make is like the best in the world. These very few attributes that they've maximized, that they've pushed to the limits, are what carry them still. And it will continue to carry them in the future. Thing is, the future of Nintendo is not in like gaming as a gaming thing. You know, that's Nintendo's priority. And people come and go. Iwata's dead. Reggie left. Bowser took over. So, and Bowser, as it turns out, was like a real life villain. He was, I mean, not really, kind of, but I mean, he was going behind Nintendo's back for selfish reasons. It was not to actually support emulation or anything like that. It was, he was making money from it. Companies that last that long need to have some kind of goal going into the future. They need to have some, okay, this is what we want from our audience, not just money. We want them to move in some direction. We want them to do something with their lives in some way. We want them to pursue something to help us with some further goal. It's like when you build up that kind of cult following, it's like you're the captain of a ship, and it's not just the people in your company that are your crew members, but it's also your customers. It's all the people that give you money that are on the ship as well. And you would want their help to say, hey, handle the ropes, grab the wheel. Like, you would want them to also kind of blur the lines and create this, like, this is where we're going. Everyone, let's all help to go in this direction. And Nintendo was very clear about that vision in the past, about wanting to create better games and newer and innovation and fun and you know, connecting family members in like with gaming. That stuff is gone. Nintendo doesn't care about like their customers doing good things with their lives. They just want the money from their. I mean, and this happens to people. Even good people will become corrupted like this when billions of dollars present themselves the way they have to Nintendo, the way people don't hold Nintendo accountable. You really got to think about what people are saying online about the Switch 2. They're saying boycott the Switch, not don't buy it. Isn't that crazy to think about? Like, Nintendo is a company where the default is assumed that everyone is just going to buy it. And then when people don't buy it, it's considered, oh, it's we're boycotting Nintendo now. Rather than the default being, I don't need it. I have plenty of games. I'm just not going to buy anything. I'm not going to overindulge. I'm not going to overconsume. But there should be videos saying, oh, we should buy the Switch, or we should buy the Switch 2 if we should. Otherwise, there shouldn't be any videos. And we kind of have to like look at ourselves as like as consumers, like, yo, this is kind of stupid. Why the hell are we even assuming that this is the status quo for ourselves, that we're just going to by default buy whatever they present to us? But on the other hand, it's kind of beautiful because it's in the modern world where you can't trust anyone. There was this company that you could actually trust. And it's nice to have those entities, those people, those groups of people who they create things that you just know they're looking out for your best interests. Yeah, it may not be the best every single time. They might be innovating, they might be playing around, they might be whatever, you know? But the more you support them, the more they will support you, and it creates a positive feedback loop that has a positive influence on the industry as a whole. If you care about gaming, then this is where you should spend your money. That kind of thing. It's nice to have that, as stupid and naive as the fans might be for, just automatically assuming Nintendo's priorities is the betterment of the customers, which it's not anymore. They don't care if the customer goes to the gym. They don't get like they had missions with these things, like with the Nintendo Wii and stuff like that, and with the DS and how portable it was. So, go out and go touch grass. If their priority was the customers, or if their priority was the betterment of the gaming industry as a whole, they would want competitors. They would want people to also push them to be better, and for those people to also be better, so they can engage with those games and they can learn more about it. And the priority would not be, okay, how can we make as much money as possible? It would be, how can we make enough money plus probably a little more so we can enjoy it, and then chase our main goal here and not lose sight of it. That's not Nintendo's priority anymore as a company. And you can't, like, on one hand, it's like, oh, the company's so old, they've been around for so long, and it's really cool that, like, especially the aura of it being like really unapologetically Japanese, that their principles would last for a very, very long time, which is usually like, it's stronger in Japanese culture than it is in other places to have that kind of thing, to have a company that lasts like 1,000 years or whatever, or at least try to. But it's they're human beings too, and eventually people come, people go, and people get corrupted, and people can change for the better as well, and they will have to in times of need and times of necessity. When their money starts running low, they will have to change for the better. But as of right now, even though they fell off in that their mission is no longer a positive mission, it's not to help you create something for yourself and spark creativity in the minds of people so that they want to become game developers in the future and all that stuff. It's not to do that. It's just a tool for consumption. The simple truth is, Nintendo makes some of the best consumables ever still. It is still peak consumption, despite the fact that it is still consumption, which is a waste. But people are consuming more and more every single day. Everyone's waiting on GTA 6 and all this stuff, and the gaming industry is growing still, even after being like the biggest industry in the world behind like oil and like a couple others. This is where my understanding and my expertise comes in of what the future of gaming and society as a whole will look like. They will eventually have to do this, where the things that they create for you to consume, instead of it frying your brain, it will need to sharpen your brain. And despite all the missteps they have and are making with the Switch 2, all they need is like, and Nintendo's proven this, they can make 1,000 mistakes. As long as they do one right thing, people will buy the Switch. They're prioritizing the social interactions. It's stupid that they, the C button is just some boring, bland, whatever, but it has that C button. Like, their priority, and they can always change the firmware, they can always update things, and it is to elicit more connectivity between people, which is the right direction. Also, being able to charge it while it's on the kickstand so you can have people playing together like that, it's introducing more connectivity, more, okay, bonds are going to be built from this. And if you really want to go deep, the future of Nintendo is not in like gaming, like I said, it's in education, but rather using games to educate, gamifying education, making education fun. This is a real world problem that the world is going to have to solve eventually. It doesn't have a choice. If I'm being so serious, if humanity is going to continue to exist as a species, they're going to have to solve this problem. And companies like Nintendo, despite all their issues, are likely, not certainly, but likely to be cornerstone companies in solving these problems. The whole idea is, how can we use games to make the world a better place? And Nintendo, with their few strengths being pushed to the absolute extreme, I believe they've done that more times than not. They've done more good than harm. Nintendo has so much history, they don't need to do all the right things. In fact, they don't even need to do half the right things. In fact, they don't even need to move in the right direction. All they really have to do is give people a glimpse of what the right direction could possibly be in one avenue, in one element, in one area, and they can make mistakes everywhere else and they will still succeed. If you think really, really long term about it, really like super long term as to, okay, using technology and gaming and all that stuff to literally create the world a better place, you would, the iPads and the Chromebooks that they give to these kids in schools nowadays, they should be Nintendo Switches. The software, the operating system of the Nintendo Switch should be some Linux based thing. It should be conducive to allowing students to be openly creative in whatever they want to get into. It should gamify their life. It's difficult to imagine that. It's like saying, okay, instead of using Zoom for business, we're all going to use Discord, which some businesses do. But like, really use your imagination here. There is a world out there where Nintendo is the one giving the like iPads or the technology for the schools to use. And the social features are used to connect peers in the class, Somewhere down the line, they might reintroduce a stylus. I think that makes sense. But one thing I think makes even more sense that they did that I didn't even think about, which is using the Joy-Con as a mouse, which if you have a Linux-based operating system, yeah, use it as a mouse. Excellent idea. So yeah, I see everything that's going on, and everyone hates the Switch too, and I do as well, and I don't think I'm gonna buy it. I've already spent like $2,000-ish on Nintendo Switch, normal like games, accessories, all that stuff, because Joy-Con boys. But the Nintendo Switch 2 will not be like a failure for Nintendo. It might not sell as well. It definitely will not sell as well as the normal Switch, but it will not be a failure. It will not be the downfall of Nintendo. They're going to need to pivot. Consoles themselves are dying. Even selling half as many Switch 2s as the Nintendo Switches would still be a success. But yeah, this is not their downfall. I'm not saying their downfall won't come. It can in the future, but it's not going to be the Switch 2.